read from Genesis chapter 25. Um, I'm basically going to be kind of reading through this story, and then I'll make a couple comments as we go. And then at the end, I'll try to, I just basically have one point kind of that I think it would be applicable. I've thought about it, but it's not new to me, but I don't think I've ever shared it publicly. And certainly not recently. If I did, I don't believe I ever did, though. I was just kind of reminded of it as I was trying to study this out. Anyway, Genesis chapter 25, and I'll start in verse 20. And everybody knows this really well, so that's good for me, because anyway, I'll start reading in verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padanaram, the sister to Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. So, according to verse 23, the Lord told Rebekah that Jacob, the younger twin, would be the stronger nation and become Israel, as we know. But throughout this story, and we'll see this more, Jacob's kind of portrayed as the more timid of the twins. But one thing that I think we should notice is in 26, it says Jacob's hand was holding Esau's heel. As I don't know this, but it kind of seems to me that maybe he wanted to be the firstborn, almost as though he was trying to hold him back so he could be born first. Anyway, I'll keep reading in verse 27. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau, because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. And Jacob said, Sell me this day thy birthright. And Esau said, Behold, I am at the point to die, and what profit shall this birthright do to me? And Jacob said, Swear to me this day. And he sware unto him, and he sold his birthright unto Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. And so here is what I was talking about. Esau, it says, was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. So basically, it's portraying Esau as and not just in that verse, but throughout this passage, it's showing Esau that he's a very capable man, and he's a hunter, a cunning hunter, and he is somewhat selfish, and he's interested in instant gratification. And Jacob is portrayed as a plain man dwelling in tents. But if we look at how he grabbed Esau's heel when they were being born, and then also he kind of exploited Esau's selfishness and his tendencies to get what he wants now in order to get Esau's birthright. And so Jacob's the more timid twin, but it seems, it might not be exactly what everybody else thinks. He might not be as timid as he seems. Right. And so then we'll skip to chapter 27 and start reading. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau his eldest son and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here am I. And he said, Behold, now I am old, I know not of the day of my death. Now therefore take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver and thy bow, and go out to the field and take me some venison, and make me savory meat such as I love, and bring it to me that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die. And so I think what this is, it said back at the first part where we were reading, or the last chapter that we read, that Isaac loved Esau and Rebekah loved Jacob. And so I'm kind of reading between the lines here, because this whole chapter always was strange to me. Whenever I read it, what goes on to take place, as you all know. But I almost think that Isaac wanted to bless Esau because he seemed to favor Esau, because he respected Esau. He respected how capable he was, and he didn't see that in Jacob. Even though the Lord had said that Jacob would be over Esau, the elder would serve the younger, he said. So I almost think that Isaac asking Esau to do this before he blessed him, almost as though Isaac was trying to prove to himself that he was on the right track in wanting to bless Esau, as though he's not completely selfish, that he'll go get me this venison that I'm asking for. And so I'll keep reading here. And Rebekah heard when Isaac spake to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field to hunt for venison and bring it. And Rebekah spake unto Jacob her son, saying, Behold, I heard thy father speaking unto Esau thy brother, saying, Bring me venison, and make me savory meat, that I may eat, and bless thee before the Lord, before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to that which I command thee. Go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Behold, Esau my brother is an hairy man, and I am a smooth man. My father peradventure will fill me, and I shall seem to him as a deceiver, and I shall bring a curse upon me, and not a blessing. And his mother said unto him, Upon me be thy curse, my son. Only obey my voice, and go fetch me them. And he went and fetched and brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands, and upon the smooth of his neck. And she gave the savory meat and the bread, which she had prepared, into the hand of her son Jacob. So here Rebekah's come up with this plan to deceive Isaac with Jacob. And so I think that both Rebekah and Jacob, this is going to be part of the last point that I'm trying to make. So I'm just kind of trying to make you aware of where I'm going. they are trying to fulfill the will of God, because it was the will of God that Jacob be the stronger nation. So Jacob needs that blessing. But their methods are not of God. So even though they're trying to fulfill the will of God, they're going about it in the wrong way. And like I say, that'll be something I'll talk about a little bit later on. So we'll keep reading in verse 18, and this will be where Jacob actually tries to carry out that plan. And he came unto his father and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. I have done according as thou badest me. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, How is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. And Isaac said unto Jacob, Come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And Jacob went near unto Isaac his father, and he felt him, and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy, as his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. And he said, Art thou my very son Esau? And he said, I am. And he said, Bring it near me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee. And he brought it near to him, and he did eat, and he brought him wine, and he drank. And his father Isaac said unto him, Come near me now, and kiss me, my son. And he came near and kissed him, and he smelled the smell of his raiment, and blessed him, and said, See, the smell of my son is as a smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. So here, Isaac, throughout this whole part that I just now read, is very suspicious of what's going on. I don't think that he's quite as clueless as Jacob and Rebekah had maybe hoped that he would be. In verse 20, he says, how did you get the venison so fast? And then 21, he says, Let me feel thee, my son, whether thou be my very son Esau or not. And then he says in 22, it's Jacob's voice, but it's Esau's hands. And then in 24, he just asked him, Are you Esau? Art thou my very son Esau? And then in 26 and 27, he wants him to come near to kiss him, and then he smells his garments. And so basically, Isaac knows that something is up. He doesn't know for sure, I don't think, but he's definitely suspicious of what's going on. But I think at this, and that always confused me, because he goes on to bless him. And then even later on, as we'll find out when he finds out it was Jacob for sure, he doesn't try to take it back. So, and that's what's always been confusing to me about this chapter. But I think what it is at this point, Isaac, if it's Esau that Isaac's talking to, he already wants to bless Esau. And Esau has been kind to him, and he's done what he asked exactly, and he speaks sweetly to him. And so if it is Esau, then he's all for it. He's ready to bless him. But on the other hand, I think Isaac also knows that Jacob is the one who's supposed to be blessed. And if this is Jacob, I think he is respecting what Jacob is doing. Even though, like I said, this is not really the right way, that he just went around, he's been lying to him multiple times. But we already see that Isaac's got a few flaws in the way he treats his sons anyway. So I'm just saying, in Isaac's mind, he's respecting Jacob, because Jacob, in his mind, has grown a backbone at this point, if it is Jacob. And so we'll keep reading. and 28. This is the blessing. Or I'll start back in the middle of 27. See, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. Therefore God give thee of the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, and blessed be he that blessed thee. And it came to pass, as soon as Isaac had made an end of blessing Jacob, and Jacob was yet scarce gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. And he also had made a savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, Let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. And Isaac his father said unto him, Who art thou? And he said, I am thy son, thy firstborn Esau. And Isaac trembled very exceedingly, and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison, and brought it me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt thou serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. And so I won't read the rest of it, but basically Rebekah heard all that, and she told Jacob, and then Jacob had to basically run from Esau for a pretty good while. They eventually get past that. But basically all the deceptive practices that Jacob did cost him pretty dearly for a lot of years. And so the point that I talked about earlier that I was kind of wanting to make that is maybe we could apply. It's not new to me. I think about it pretty regularly, but like I said, I don't think that I have shared it publicly, so hopefully it would be a help to you. And I was reminded of it whenever I was reading this. I think that we can go about doing the will of God and doing God's work, but still be messing it up a little bit, not going about it in the right way necessarily. And I don't remember what the first why that this come to me. I mean, what I was first studying about or whatever. But sometimes I blacksmith and stuff, as people know. And your hammer that you use, if you only use it on your workpiece, your hot steel, your hammer will stay in perfect shape. But if you try to work cold steel, basically the analogies I'm trying to make is if you're working on personal things, neglecting God, your hammer, what it is that cold steel will deform the face of the hammer. Because the hammer starts forming, the work starts forming the hammer rather than the hammer forming the work. And so then you've got a hammer that's got dents and dings in it. And when you go to strike hot steel, those marks that are on the face of the hammer are transferred into your workpiece. And it'll make a bunch of blemishes on there. And actually, that's a method that people use when they're making stuff. They'll cut and intentionally cut marks and stuff in a hammer, and then whenever you hammer your workpiece, it transfers those marks. And so, in our spiritual life, if you're using your hammer for things that you ought not be using it for, it's going to mar that face up. And then when we go to work for God, those things will start showing up. And we might be getting stuff done, but not doing them like they ought to be or as good as they could be. And so I'm pretty extremely guilty of that. But I think most people probably are, because it's just how we are. But anyway, that's just kind of what I was going to say. But hopefully I made sense to you.